What's up, Weirdo Shade Tree Surgeon here once again, back with the beige malaise, the brown bomber, more brown. Our 1982 Shovelhead Tour Glide over here that ended up being a little more than we bargained for. Well, actually, that's a little bit of a fib. I knew this thing was going to be a project when we first picked it up. But honestly, I love these old bikes, and I'm more than happy to bring it back, not see it turned into some chopper out of it or something like that. I mean, this was just like the best of the best touring bike that Harley Davidson had to offer in 1982. I'd like to see it still doing its job. I'm happy to spend the time bringing the old beige malaise back on the road. Now, while I have spent some time polishing this thing up, making it look nice, we've also completely rebuilt the brakes, we've changed all the fluid, addressed quite a few carburetor problems, among other things. I initially thought this had a really nice tank. I was surprised it didn't have any rust in it, and upon closer inspection,
the lie detector test determined that was a lie. Desire, come here.
the inside of that tank looks like an old boat anchor. And since we're waiting on new rubber for this thing anyway, so it's not coming off the lift regardless, let's go ahead and drain all the gasoline out of this tank and do something about all that rust in there, because it's not going to be doing that old carburetor any favors. Yeah, this old ham cam on here sure shined up nice. I'll tell you, the inside of it was pretty frightening before we replaced this filter on it. The filter that was in there has ceased to be. Funny, back in the day, everyone just wanted to get rid of these things and throw them away, and now they're fetching pretty good prices on eBay. Oh, and my gasket. Alright, it's the next night. I had some stuff that took my attention away from motorcycles. Very annoying the night before, but let's go ahead and get all the rust out of this tank. It is bad. So I've gotten it off of here. It's wet because I rinsed it out with water from the hose, and we're going to get the rust out of this with a different method than last time. Last time we used the Weems Motor Co. method of filling it full of nuts and bolts and putting it in the dryer. That did work, so I'm not saying it didn't work, but we're going to try the Joe the Mountain Jedi way this time, and that involves this gallon of hot water with about a cup and a half of baking soda dissolved into it and an Xbox 360 power supply. I'll explain a little bit more. First off, let's go ahead and get the hot water in the tank. We got the petcock closed, and I didn't quite dissolve all of it, so after I pour this in, I'm going to put some more hot water in here, and then I don't think the rest of the water that goes in there needs to be hot. This is just to help dissolve the baking soda. You definitely got some sludge on the bottom. I'm gonna go refill this. Now we got this sucker full of water and baking soda. It's time to make a sacrifice. I know you guys got old Xbox 360 power supplies lying around. Everybody's got one lying around. You ain't using this thing. Now, if you have an old school battery tender that actually is always on or always off, you can use that, but my battery tender is a newer one and it turns on automatically, so I can't use it. I have to have something that's low amperage, always on. I feel like somebody's mom after they've been bad, cutting the power supply cord. All right, after a little bit of Googling, I found out that the green and the white wires in here are sensor leads, so those have to be tied together for this to work. When I say a little bit of research, what I mean is I called Joe the Mountain Jedi, and he he told me what was up. And I got these guys from the good old People's Republic of Harbor Freight. One of them is going to be connected to the bolt, and one of them will be connected to the tank from the ground and the positive wire. I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm sure someone's going to scold me for using electrical tape instead of taking the time to solder this. This ain't got to be pretty. Yeah, that looks pretty sketchy. Let's give it a whirl. Okay, this might seem kind of sketchy because it is. I've got my anode here that's going to be hanging out in the water, and I've got it in another People's Republic of Harbor Freight item, and I've just got it stuck through here, and this is magnetized here because it can't touch the metal of the tank. I'm gonna put the positive terminal there, and then I'm gonna ground it out in the tank somewhere, but they can't both be touching the tank or else I won't get my my little magic stuff happening in there. So let's hook it up and see if it starts a fire. If somebody else was doing this, this is right about when I would yell, bang! Ooh, look, it's already starting to fizz in there. You can tell it's dangerous. Let's see if we can let you guys take a peek in there and see what's happening. So yeah, it is already starting to work. What it's doing in there, I don't know. It's a mystery. Who knows what's happening in those murky depths? But hopefully it's something good. And hopefully it's not going to set my garage on fire. Although I will tell you right now, this looks like something that would set your garage on fire. Oh, it's the next day. I've let this thing sit overnight and it is looking extra crusty in there. Let's see what there is to see. Yeah. That's looking pretty gross, man. Well, it worked. Never was one much for science, you know, but this is pretty cool, man. This is a really cool way to do this. Let's see what revolting shit we get out of here. Just really freaking cool, man. There's no rust inside it anymore. That's freaking awesome. I'm definitely gonna have to clean it out, but you'll see, yeah, no more rust, baby. That's wild, because you looked at this thing before and it was the entire inside was nothing but rust. That's just like a flake of rust lying there right now. No, this is completely rust-free inside. That is freaking wild. Just at this point, what I gotta do is basically just rinse it out really, really good with isopropyl alcohol, dry it out completely, and then we're ready to go, baby. Shay's driving the truck because we're going to the flea market to buy one of her good friends her very first gun. Now, you can usually fit guns on a motorcycle. I've done it from the flea market before. And we're actually taking old Silver Moon Photography, who was our photographer for our calendar shoot that hasn't been made into a calendar yet. Although I did just get the edit back from my man Arctic Yeti on the Last Supper photo, and it turned out sacrilicious. Since it's going to be her first gun, she definitely has to test it out. And although I'm sure that Silver Moon Photography wouldn't mind jumping on a bike, it is supposed to rain today, so we're not going to force her to go to the Webster Flea Market, pick out her very first firearm, and get rained on for an hour. Me and Joe will take the chance, though. And why the flea market to buy a firearm? You know why? Because it's none of the government's business what you have. And as long as it's a private sale, at least here in Florida, the government doesn't have to know about it, as they shouldn't. And not that I'm that worried about registered firearms. It's like, it's so hard for me to say that registered firearms are totally a terrible thing. You know what I mean? Like, I get it, but if I personally have the option to have it not registered, you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and take that option while it's available to me. You know, when it comes to the law, man's law I'm talking about here, whichever ones have the most loopholes, those are usually my favorite. My grandpa always told me I'd keep sticking my neck through loopholes till one closed around it, but they ain't got me yet. Back at it, baby. Certainly not going to do a whole polish on this engine because it's impossible to do with the engine in the frame, but I can't have the tank off and be this close to the head and not put a little bit of a shine on them, man. Not going to do anything else, and I'm not going to do it perfect whatsoever, but I can't just sit here and leave them as oxidized as they are. I'm going to knock some of this crust off of them, and then the motor's certainly not going to look perfect, but it'll look a little bit better. But I also want to make them look perfect because if they look too good, then it'll make just everything look crappy, you know what I mean? So like I said, we're just going to knock the crust off these things while I got the tank off. Should probably put something over the carburetor. This is a lot of dust about to fly in the air. That ain't perfect, but it looks a lot better. And, you know, I can go ahead and say, yeah, I didn't make it perfect because I'm just trying to have these patinas match, so it can't be too shiny, right? Yeah, we'll go with that. Bike goes up, the bike goes down, the bike goes up, the bike goes down. Well, not too many more times, at least. We don't have tires for this thing yet, and I definitely want them before I take it on a trip. And yes, I'm taking it on a trip. I'm gonna get my pound of flesh out of this thing for as hard as I worked on it. And then somebody else can win it and they can enjoy it. But I'm taking my trip. I ain't doing it without new tires, but I gotta at least ride this thing after all this work. I'm itching to put it on the road, man. And so yeah, we're just gonna throw the old tires back on there for now. It always freaks me out jacking the thing up. Whoa, this high on the lift. It's a little higher. Okay, is that tall enough? Come on, man. Give me a break here. All right. Jeez, Pete. Stressful. Maybe it isn't stressful for somebody who does this all the time. For me, it's a little stressful. We are just taking this apart again pretty soon, but there's no reason not to do it right. The new and improved shade tree surgeon who does stuff correctly. It's freaking stress out as we pull it back down now. Yeesh. Go. Oh yeah, feels good to put these back on here after rebuilding them, you know? The bike goes up, the bike goes down. You know, I keep talking about the bike going up and down like I'm not enjoying myself, but I very much enjoy this. This is definitely one of those Zen moments. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's something more along the lines of fixing something as an avatar for fixing myself. I'm not really sure. Either way, I do like this. All right, now is this .3 or .4? Does it not say? It doesn't say.
No, negative. It will be .5.
Okay, so even if, all right, cool, cool, cool. The bike goes up, the bike goes down, the bike goes up, the bike goes down. At least only a few more times before I'm riding it. It's gonna have to go back on for these tires, but I'm gonna ride this damn thing. When I'm putting these tanks on, I just throw an extra hose with a bolt in it on this side, and then I take the original hose and I throw a bolt in that too. And that keeps it mostly from leaking. Not all the way usually though. Just a little bit of two-stroke oil in there, causing a little bit of smoke at startup, but it'll actually run fine with little two-stroke gas in there. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. I don't see any major leaks, man. I think we're doing all right. Listen up, baby. Commence the shoveling. Oh, wait. Well, some needs to warm up a little bit. I ain't gonna lie to you guys right now, it feels pretty damn good to take this thing off the lift. Even though, yes, it is gonna have to go back on, it is gonna have to get tires. There's just something about this one, this motorcycle in particular. I've had other motorcycles that have given me bigger problems than this one gave me, but something about this bike in particular, I don't know, man. It was still fun the whole time. I still liked it. I just am excited to get it done. Dude, I swear, it's cursed, man. It's not cursed. I mean, nothing, like I said, nothing went that wrong with it. It just is, it's just everything else that's been going on in my life around trying to rebuild this thing has just been an absolute nightmare. And the second I take it off the lift, it starts pouring. And no, I'm not afraid to ride in the rain, but it's like, it's the fact that it starts pouring the second I take this off the lift. And I just rebuilt the brakes and I just rebuilt the suspension. And it's got old ass tires. I'm just like, I'm probably not gonna ride it in the rain. That's, hey man, it is what it is, baby. It's not that this bike was really a pain in my butt. Like, nothing about it was really that wrong. It's actually pretty simple for a bike that's been sitting for several years in a storage unit. Just everything else in my life that was happening while I was doing this has just been really fucking with me, man. I want to get this thing done, not because this bike is my problem. It's just everything else around me right now is my problem. What did I say earlier? Yeah, we fix bikes as an avatar for not being able to fix ourselves or something like that. I don't know. That's kind of a clunky metaphor, but there's something in there. Exacting control over an inanimate object when we cannot exact control over ourselves. We've all been there. It stopped raining, for now at least. The bike runs, it's looking shiny in some places anyway. We're only missing one thing, but I don't know, looks like a pretty girl's walking this way. And if there's one ingredient we need for a ride, it's a pretty girl in some 6-inch tall heels, all right? The marvelous, mysterious Maria Mew, and Shaylisi isn't even here to take her away from me. As if anyone could take Maria. Just like any good cat, she goes where she wishes.
If I lose my bow, we're going back for it, alright?
We'll go back to your dog.
Thanks.
There's something to be said for a rubber mount engine, all right? How could we possibly break down now with a pretty girl on the back? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Don't worry, it's okay. I forgot to turn the gas on.
Oh.
All right, take two. The beige malaise. On the road, baby. On the road again. I mean, I actually rode it home from when we picked it up from the storage unit, so it did run when parked and when picked up, just not very well. I'll tell you, it's a damn sight better now, even though we still need some tires. I mean, it feels freaking amazing. And the old good luck charm back there, old marvelous, mysterious. There ain't no backrest on this motorcycle for me, which some people might count against it. But when you have a backrest, that leaves room for Jesus. And right now, I just rebuilt these brakes, and I'll tell you, boys, they're working good. I mean, stopping's important, don't get me wrong, but stopping's real important when you got Gravedigger and Bigfoot on the back of the bike. Quick poll for the audience watching right now. If you needed to get squished, would you choose Gravedigger or Bigfoot? Personally, I can't even make up my mind. And every time I hit these brand new brakes, I gotta ask you, could it be both? What can I say? I can't help myself. I might be a good dog, but I'm still a dog, baby. Oh yeah, that runs a lot better without every single filter in it clogged up with rust. Not to mention the carburetor being clogged up with rust. Crazy. Crazy what a little bit of love can do, baby. This thing runs like a top now. Stops pretty damn good too, thankfully. I mean, not just for old monster trucks, the mysterious, marvelous Maria Mew and her monster trucks of mystery, Gravedigger and Bigfoot. I mean, for my sake too, you know. I don't get to live to enjoy them unless the bike stops. Feels good, man. It feels really, really good. Is the bike perfect? No, look at it. It's not perfect, obviously. Like, I took the CD player out because it was beat to death and making a horrible noise anyway, and it doesn't even work. And I just got some tape there. Like, the bike isn't perfect. The bike is a rider, man. It's ready to roll, and you don't have to worry about messing it up because it's not perfect. That's kind of the whole point. Basically, what I did to it, and you could definitely do a lot more, what I did to it is what I would do to it if I was keeping it. And if you end up winning this motorcycle and you want to do like a full freaking engine out restoration, that's your prerogative, baby. But if it was me, I'd keep it just like this and I'd ride the damn wheels off it. And even though we're still threatening rain from the heavens, I don't even freaking care, man. We're washing this thing, dude. I don't care. It's been on my lip for so freaking long. When I say long, I mean like, you know, a couple weeks, but it's been long enough that I don't care if it's raining. This thing's getting a bath. I can definitely tell nobody else is sharing my reckless optimism for the weather holding off because I'm the only person at the car wash right now. But I just don't care. Reckless optimism has always served me well, except when it doesn't, but whatever. I'll worry about that another day. And now, of course, it's time for everybody's favorite thing I do on this channel, washing my motorcycles at the coin-operated car wash. I don't know why people freak out so bad about this one, but let me tell you what, they hate it. That looks a sight better. I hear you. I read the comments of people who are just like, you're gonna ruin the bike and the pressure washing the water and it's not gonna run anymore. But I'm like, dude, if you can ride a motorcycle in a rainstorm, and we're pretty confident that you can ride a motorcycle through a rainstorm and have it not break, and if you're not confident you can do that, you've got problems with your motorcycle. If you can ride it through a rainstorm and it doesn't break, why the hell can't you wash it with a pressure washer? It's just absolutely the dumbest thing Oh, just kidding. I put the kill switch on to fuck with everybody. You can't lie. If I got you in the comments, you gotta say that I actually got you, okay? Uh-oh. Maybe I wasn't messing with y'all. Maybe something. I'm just kidding. I forgot to turn the gas on again. Okay, you gotta say if I got you. Although that one was actually on accident. Never fear, the motorcycle runs fine. Even after getting it wet. I know, heavens to Betsy, seems wild. Luckily, the bike ain't made out of sugar, so it can survive a pressure washer. Did I do a good job bringing this bike back to life? Well, I'm riding it down the street, so to me, at least, on judging on my own scale here, I will say I did a passable job as I am currently riding it down the road, and it goes and stops as it should, and it looks a little better than it did before, and the tank doesn't look like the grate of your old Weber grill they ain't used since 2 summers ago. With all those things combined, I'll say, yeah, I did an okay job bringing the bike back. Not that it needed that far to come back, but you know, sitting for 5, 6 years, who knows? It could have been sitting for 10 years, I don't really know. But definitely over 3 or 4 years, just sitting around. Shit happens to these motorcycles, man. You gotta do stuff to bring them back to life. You can't just let them sit around. They need to be ridden. And shovelheads need maintenance. Really, I will tell you, even though like, there's so many people talk crap about the polishing and say it doesn't need it. All my patina apologists out there are gonna be like, you should have left it looking like a rat bike. But I'll tell you, polishing parts, getting up close and personal with everything down there, that is an essential part of maintenance because it lets you see if anything is going wrong, because these bikes are definitely not maintenance free. They call for oil changes every 2,000 miles, and the intervals with which you have to do some kind of service are about every 500 or 600 miles. These bikes are from a different time and place, and I think it's pretty damn cool that we still get to ride them around, but we don't get to ride them around unless you bring them back from the dead and, you know, like pull the motor out and throw it in a chopper. I love choppers, don't get me wrong, but I mean, not a bike like this, man. This thing is just a rolling piece of history. When Harley Davidson thought it could take on Goldwing, I don't think they could. The Goldwing's a superior motorcycle, but you know, just because it's a superior bike doesn't mean you want it more, okay? That doesn't mean you have to get a Goldwing just because on paper it's a better motorcycle. That's the cool thing about motorcycles. A motorcycle being the best doesn't mean shit. You buy motorcycles with your heart. You do not buy motorcycles with your eyes. Those who buy a motorcycle with their eyes have forgotten the face of their father. You do not buy a motorcycle with your mind. Those who buy a motorcycle with their mind have forgotten the face of their father. You buy a motorcycle with your heart, baby. And this motorcycle right here, It's got a lot of heart, and it's brought a lot of heart back in me, dude. After the couple of weeks I've had, it feels real good that I brought this back and I'm riding it around now with my own 2 hands and a whole lot of help from 1-800-ASK-SHELBY and Joe the Mountain Jedi, but I digress, you know. It takes a village, and I'm the village idiot. Feels good, man. Feels real good. As I said earlier, this bike is far from perfect, but in my eyes, that's actually a bonus. When it comes to old bikes, when they're absolutely perfect and everything on them is just flawless and they look like they still belong in a museum or on the showroom floor, it almost makes you not want to ride them, man. You don't want to put miles on them, and that's such a shame, especially with a bike like this that was made to do one thing, man, and that put miles down. This was made for American highways. And don't get me wrong, I love seeing bikes in museums. And this is, yeah, it's a classic, well on its way to becoming an antique at this point, but it's still perfectly capable of doing its job. In 1982, this was the best touring motorcycle you could get from Harley Davidson, and it shows. It's comfortable, it's easy to ride, it's low to the ground. It's a great motorcycle. This is what gave us all the amazing touring motorcycles that Harley has today. This is when they went from just slapping a fairing on, on their motorcycles to actually creating something that had touring in mind. It was one of the first computer designed frames, the first rubber mounted Harley Davidson. It's just really, really a cool piece of history, but I don't want to see it in a museum. I want to see somebody enjoy this. I want to see somebody ride this. I want to see somebody take the same kind of joy that I get of taking these old bikes that were meant to tour and then go touring on them, man. It's just so much fun to me, and I wouldn't want to do it on a bike that's perfect. I want to do it on a bike that looks just like this. And while I'm so excited to take a trip on this bike and take my pound of flesh out of this Harley Davidson, this bike could be your bike. That's right, we're giving this bike away. We're not raffling it off, but it is a raffle. We're still supporting Forgotten Angels and their mission with this motorcycle and their mission to end the cycle of abuse in the foster care system. If you have any idea how bad the foster care system is in America, you know some of the horror stories that they have to deal with on a daily basis. They take these young men who've aged out at 18, young men and women. They help a lot of women as well. They've aged out of the foster care system and they get made homeless, and they have no resources and no family, and they've been abused by their family in ways you can't imagine, abused by the system, and then let down by a broken, flawed system that sets them up for failure and homelessness. Well, Forgotten Angels aims to change that. They get them off the streets, they get them in apartments, they help them build tiny homes, they help them rebuild their credit, rebuild their lives, and give them their first chance, not their second chance. These guys never got a chance at all. They never got a chance to fail. Everyone deserves at least a chance to fail. So what Forgotten Angels does is, that sounds kind of bad actually, they give them a chance to fail, but you know, just getting a chance to fail is a pretty big deal. But they set them up for success instead of setting them up for failure like the system has done to them. It's an amazing organization, and most people watching this have been to the camp house. We've got another one coming in March. The way that you can win this bike now is by signing up for something called Harness. I wanted everyone to be able to do this, and with Harness you can support Forgotten Angels for pennies a month. It's a system that you hook up with your debit card, and when you use your debit card, it will round up the few pennies left over. Forgotten Angels will then receive that money. You can also enter custom amounts. You can set caps so everyone can work within their budget, because I don't want people overextending themselves to win prizes and win bikes. Is it cool that we're giving away bikes? Absolutely. I love it. I love getting these bikes. I love it when people get them. It's a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, I think that sometimes people will overextend themselves in these raffles, and I think that Harness is a much easier way for people to contribute to Forgotten Angels, help change the world, and also always be in the running for these cool prizes that we're giving away. So if you're already signed up for Harness, you are already entered to win this bike. I'll have the links down below. We're gonna pull that winner in a couple weeks here, so make sure you're on Harness. You can be entered to win this, and you'll still be entered to win everything else we're gonna give away as long as you're still signed up for Harness. We're still gonna be doing monthly giveaways for Forgotten Angels, and outside of those giveaways, because even though it is always nice to win something, the real reward, not to sound corny, but the real reward is doing something good and helping change the world and helping lift somebody up who has much less than you. But sometimes you might win a cool bike too, and this is definitely a good one. The link to Harness is down below. Check it out. I hope I see you guys at the camp out. And now I gotta go pick up some tires for this thing, and I gotta take my trip on it. There's a couple perks here, and Shade Tree Surgeon is a guy who's never been afraid to take advantage of perks, if you know what I mean. That's gonna about do it for this video, y'all. Make sure you click that link for Forgotten Angels down below. I appreciate every single one of you. You guys are amazing. Thank you for joining me, David, Cindy, Shaylisi, and everyone else on this weird journey that somehow turned from just reckless eyeballing every single single woman I see and riding real fast on my motorcycle to trying to change the world for the better. Now, I still do those other two things. They do them a lot, but we're also doing a good thing too. So yeah, be a bad person doing good things. We're good-hearted villains and dangerous women. Chaotic good. The link's down below. Join us. Until next time, y'all, keep it weird.
Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry. Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Armies of the night, evil taking flight. Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Panic spreading far and wide. Can the world oppose the deadliest of foes? Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Who will risk it all to end the evil call of Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. They never give up, they never say die, walking tall with banners high. Shade Tree Army, a ruthless gang of scum, villains, freaks, and bikers determined to rule the world.